Hey, welcome to our episode of Chad's Beer Podcast. This week I'm talking to Howard from Fridays Are For You, aka Uncle Bub. What's going on, man?
Hey, it's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I've never done anything like this, so it's a new experience for me.
Yeah, and in case the people watching at home missed it, we just reviewed Boddington's Pub Ale, and it was good. It was okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I still have 3 more cans in the fridge, but I'm saving those for another time. So, anyway, I just wanted to bring up your channel to show the folks at home. Yeah. So the name of your channel is Fridays Are For You, but like your beer review show is called Uncle Bub's Belt Buckle Beer Reviews.
Yeah,
Or it's like you have like several shows within the show, or how does that work?
well, I started out I thought I was coming up with something new back in 2019. I got a new computer and started experimenting and like, hey, I can review these beers. And come to find out, people have been doing it for years and years. I thought I was going to be smart and do a beer channel and make a lot of money on YouTube. You know what? It wasn't in the cards for me. I just enjoy drinking beer, and I started the channel as a Friday shout out. And the main reason I started it, not only to drink beer, but to shout out the American worker. And if you watched any of my videos, I do a shout out to hardworking Americans in every video I do, because without the hardworking Americans, our country don't roll and move. So I started out just doing specific professions and just eventually just brought them all into one and just thank all hardworking Americans for what they do in every episode. And I do 4 a week. And I've been doing it, going on 6 years now. It's been a little over 5 years. Views.
Let's see here. Yeah, I sorted. Here's your channel sorted from oldest to newest. When did you start using the Uncle Bub's title?
You know what? I don't even remember. It's probably 3 years ago, maybe.
Oh, that's the shirt you're wearing now. This is not a drill. That's funny. I've seen that shirt before. I forget where it's from, but do you know where you got it?
I got it online somewhere. Yeah.
It's probably one of those t-shirt companies, but
I'm sure it was. I bought several at the time I started doing the videos. I wanted a specific theme, pretty much, where I wear this hat I've had for 10 years and basically a black shirt. And I mix it up every once in a while, but usually I've got a black shirt with some kind of saying on it. In the videos.
I just wanted to bring up like your latest review. This is of the founders. Is this in your backyard?
Yes, that's in my backyard.
Yeah, it looks really pretty. I mean, or is that like just like this one area?
That's just one area. Man, I've got about 4 acres here in Bell Buckle and Bell Buckle, Tennessee, and I love doing them outside when I can. I just love doing my reviews outside. So I'll pick a different spot in my backyard or, whatever to kind of give a different background. And usually I'll stay in that background for the ones I do in 1 week. And then the next week I'll try to move somewhere else. Or if it's raining, I'll come in here and do it in my room, my beer wall, in front of my beer wall.
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty cool beer room or wall or whatever you want to call it. I've seen bars with like, a collection like that. So is it just like every beer you've had or just like the white whales or like your favorite beers, or how does a bottle get up on that wall?
I got to tell you, I'm kind of a hoarder, man. Every beer that I try, I'll keep at least a can or a bottle, and I've got them piled everywhere. I don't have enough space in this room to put them all, man. And I've seen, some people do that, and I don't know. I just like to reminisce sometimes, look back at different things. I've run out of room and run out of shelving in here, so I've just kind of, been storing them in boxes. I work 12-hour days, so I have, limited time. I'd love to be able to manipulate them around, put different ones at different times up there. I just don't have time to do all that.
Does Tennessee do the like the 5-cent deposit, where if you bring the bottle or can to the store, they give you 5 cents back?
I wish. No, they don't do that.
Yeah, because I'm originally from upstate New York, and like New York and like most of the New England states and mid-Atlantic states, they all do that 5-cent deposit thing. Michigan is like 10 cents. But in Florida, yeah, they don't do that either. So it's like you just throw all this like right in the trash or
Yeah.
recycling bin if you have it. By the way, I just looked up. I didn't know Bell Buckle was the name of your town. So this is, I don't know if people can see this. I Googled it, and it looks like you're sort of close to Nashville, kind of like halfway between Nashville and Chattanooga.
Yeah, we're probably about 30 minutes from Nashville.
Okay, so it's not that
20
far.
minutes from Murfreesboro. I live out. It's funny, Chad, because I live about 6 miles from Bell Buckle, where the Bell Buckle post office is.
Right.
And my address is Bell Buckle, but I'm actually closer to the Unionville post office, which is about 2 miles down the road. But I have a Bell Buckle address. So that's kind of what I go by.
Why did do you know how they came up with the name of the town, or why they called it Bell Buckle?
I do not. I don't know.
It's funny, when I saw your show was called Bell Buckle, I thought it was like, at first I thought it was a typo. I bet people like, don't you mean belt buckle? You know?
and I'm sure probably a lot of people think that. Bell Buckle is just a small little town.
Mm-hmm.
And it hosts a web school, which is a prestigious school, private school.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Bell Buckle. If anybody's interested, they can look it up online. But it's a prestigious private school there. And so the speed limit is like 15 miles an hour, 25 to 15 miles an hour through the whole town. There's a railroad that runs right through it. They have the famous Bell Buckle Cafe there.
I wonder if that's what they're showing here on Google. So I just Googled your town, and it's showing this.
Yeah, it's basically like a strip mall down through there, a bunch of old timey stuff, and
yeah,
but it's been there forever. And of course the railroad.
I see a lot of it snows there.
Oh yeah.
That's why you're near Shelbyville. That's the I don't know if you watch The Simpsons. That's like their rival, Springfield and Shelbyville. Have you been to Chattanooga? I've heard good things about that town.
I like Chattanooga. Yeah. It's been a while since I've been. I spent a couple of weeks ago, me and my wife and some friends went to Gatlinburg, and that was a blast. I don't know if you've ever been to Gatlinburg.
I don't think I've ever been to Tennessee.
Oh, wow. You have to come visit, man. We've got a great state. I'm Tennessee born, Tennessee bred, and when I die, I'll be Tennessee dead.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Chattanooga. Like I've seen pictures from there. And doesn't Tennessee have no state income tax?
That's correct.
Yeah, like that would be
the only stipulation of that is I think if you are in the stock market and you have a capital gains in your stock, I think they charge tax on that. But other than that, there's no income tax.
Okay. All right. Well, getting back to your channel, like you said, you started this in 2019. Like what was the inspiration? Just fun to do it, or
basically, I had gotten me a new laptop and was just kind of fiddling around with the features on it. And I started, my very first video was a bottle of, I think it was Chenin Blanc. I had a bottle of wine, and that's the first one I did. And then from there, I started picking up and I started thinking about it. And I'm not a big wine drinker anyway. I drink some beer. So I started, doing it every Friday.
Yeah,
and I named my channel Friday Shout was my original name, because I was going to do a beer review every Friday. And then it got to where I had so many beers to do. I said, it'll take me forever to do these. Let's pick it up. Well, Fridays Are For You was for the, I renamed it for the hardworking Americans that, you know, work from 9 to 5. Of course, a lot of us work on I work on weekends sometimes now. So it's not necessarily the Monday through Friday anymore like it used to be, but Fridays Are For You was the name I come up with for to salute the hardworking Americans. Fridays are for you, hardworking Americans. Enjoy your weekend.
Now, are you self-employed or you have
I'm a blue collar worker. I work 12-hour days in a factory, man.
Okay.
And it's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, 12-hour days is a long day, but we're breaking it up to where I work 3, I'm off 3, then I work 4, then I'm off 4. Kind of leapfrogs like that. And it changes 4 times a year. We swap where we do weekends or weekdays, and we work every other Sunday, regardless. Every other Sunday we work, but we'll work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then work every other Sunday, or we work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every other Sunday, and then have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. It just kind of goes back and forth like that. But yeah, blue collar worker. That never worked in a manufacturing until 2017. I went from a store manager, you know, working long, hard hours, hardly, you know, pay was terrible, had to deal with employees, had the lady come from the factory. I was working the register because somebody had called out that day, and she said, we can't keep nobody at our work either, and I make blankety blank an hour. And I looked at her, and that was more than I made what I was doing, working the hours I was working. I went that day and applied, and 2 weeks later, I started working at the factory.
What kind of industry is it?
Well, believe it or not, you've probably got one of our products in your home. We make tubes for toothpaste, shampoo, pharmaceuticals, Neosporin, off-brand Neosporin for Costco, Dollar General, CVS. We make all kinds of different tubes. It's what we do.
Just the tubes, not the toothpaste?
Just the tubes, and we ship them to Procter & Gamble for Crest and different Close-Up and AIM and all those different kind of toothpaste tubes and medicinal tubes and things like that.
Cool. Well, let's get back to talking about beer. So can you tell us like your beer journey? Like, did you start out drinking, you know, Miller Lite in the woods with your friends in high school, or
well,
like what's your story?
Okay, so my first recollection of actually catching a buzz on beer was with my dad. I was probably, I don't know, 7th or 8th grade. Mom was out of town. Dad picked up a 6-pack of Natural Light, and he let me drink what I wanted to that night. And I think I don't remember. I think I drank 3, 4 maybe, but it was enough to get me in a place I'd never been before. And, you know, from there, I just kind of, I drank in high school. Of course, we had, you know, people that would get beer for us and stuff like that. But I was basically a one beer guy. You know, I drank Busch for a long time, and then I graduated to Budweiser, and Budweiser was my go-to for years and years. And then when I started doing beer reviews, it really, really opened my eyes to the scope that the beer world has. And I really, really enjoyed it. I went from Budweiser to Coors, and my go-to now is actually, I drink Yuengling Premium beer now. I just started being able to find it here in Tennessee. My buddy Wayne Allen Franklin of Bucks County Beer Reviews sent me one of these in a 16-ounce can. I'd never had it. And when I saw it in Walmart, it was like $20 a case. And I'm like, so I picked up a case of it, and that's what I've been drinking ever since. I mean, it's a 4.6%. It's a good beer. It's not great. It's not wonderful, but it's cheap and it's good.
Yeah, it's funny. Did you see? I posted something. Let me bring it up here. I did a poll today. Sorry, I should have had this ready. So, like, there's this thing called like the beer triangle, where you can like there's 3 things with beer, and like you can, it's very like most beers only qualify for 2 of them. And here, let me show this here. I don't know if you can see this or not. I said pick 2. The other one will be the exact opposite. So it's either, so it tastes great, high ABV, and cheap. But so like if it's high alcohol and cheap, it's probably not going to taste good. If it tastes good and it's high alcohol, it's going to be expensive. And if it tastes good and it's cheap, it's going to be low alcohol, you know?
Yeah.
So like the Yingling you were talking about is kind of like that, like tastes
Yeah.
great and cheap.
That's
Like low
interesting. Yeah.
alcohol.
That's interesting.
It's very rare that a beer will get all 3 of these.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of is like that that Polish Zywick porter. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's like 8 or like 9%, and it's only like $3 a bottle for like a 500 ml.
Oh wow.
Same size as this, yeah, and it's really good. There's a couple other ones like that, but yeah. So like you said, like, you know, you started when you started doing the show. You tried other styles beside lager? Like I'm sure you've had like IPA and brown ale and stout by now.
Oh yeah, I drink a lot of IPAs.
Mhm.
But the one I found the most interesting was the stouts. The stouts, to me, they have such a scope of robustness and different kind of flavors that I can. They're a lot more pronounced to me than some of the other ones that hint at this and hint at that. The stouts just slap you in the mouth with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I really enjoy those. Some of the best beers I've ever had have been stouts as far as flavor that I'd enjoy. The barrel age series of Founders, I love Founders. They've got a lot of different good barrel aged beers. But the stouts have really stood out to me. Now the IPAs, they have a wide range too. And what I really love about the IPAs are the different kind of hop flavors and aromas you get off of them. Some of them are typical. Some of them are really, you know, different. And like I said, I don't know how to describe a whole lot of them. You know, sometimes I'll get something that's like, wow, what is that flavor I'm getting? You know, it's like nothing I've ever had before.
Do you prefer like the new hazy ones that are like, you know, like milkshakes, or do you prefer like the kind of old school like Dogfish 60-minute or Stone IPA type IPAs?
It doesn't really matter to me. I like them both. I've talked to some people and they won't drink an IPA. They won't even try it because I guess they've tried one and it was like taking a bite out of a pine cone or something like that. They just
sometimes it is, yeah.
Well, but what I've told them is if you have an IPA, pour it off and you know, let that head develop, let some of that gas and aroma out, and it definitely affects the flavor of the beer.
Yeah. IPAs, you know, it's funny because our bodies are like meant to, anything that's like bitter is like nature's way of telling you like this is not good for you. So like it's actually kind of weird that like we like coffee and we like IPAs even though like they're very bitter things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're kind of like overcoming evolution or something like that. I don't know.
I love the
yeah.
bitterness. I drink my coffee black. I love my dark chocolate, the bitter dark chocolate. And I love the bitterness that you get in some of these beers. And the IPAs tend to have more of that to me than some of the other beers do. Now, I've experienced the different kinds of bitterness in some of the other beers, but they'll be very mildly bitter, where some of the IPAs just smack you in the mouth with that bitterness.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it.
Whoa, what was that?
I was getting a notification from Facebook. Get that off of there.
Yeah, you ever had Ruination or like Arrogant Bastard? Like those ones are like super high IBUs.
Oh man, I'm telling you that the Arrogant Bastard, man, I was pleasantly surprised with that. I had no idea it was going to be as good as it was. I loved it.
Have you tried the Double Bastard? It's like even stronger.
I have not. I don't think I've seen that around. No.
I've seen it. Yeah, like do you guys have Total Wine around where you are?
There's one in Nashville. And I rarely make a trip to Nashville. Now there may be able to find it somewhere in Murfreesboro. It's a little bigger town than Cheville, and that's where I get most of my different beers. There's a liquor store. Well, there's several liquor stores in Murfreesboro, and there's also a world market that carries beers from all over the world, and I find a bunch of different ones down there too.
Yeah, we have that here too. Yeah,
the world market.
I find like all the beers at World Market are like super old.
I've discovered that, and that's disappointing. Yeah, I've had some that's been not worth drinking.
I know, it's so disappointing. Yeah, like you get home, like I've mentioned this on this show many times. There's a liquor store within walking distance of my apartment, probably about 3/4 of a mile down the road. And it's like a liquor store, and they have like this huge walk-in cooler, like the size of my apartment in the back. But 90% of the beer bottles and cans back there are like, it's like that one that you have where it said April 2024 Best Buy Day. Like that's like if you walked in there now, I call it the beer museum because it's all beers that people were drinking like 10, 15 years ago, or like these old cans. Like how you have all those bottles behind you. Like imagine if they were still capped and filled, and you were trying to sell them, you know.
I have that problem, man. Chad, I went and it's been a couple months ago. I went to Murfreesboro and got a Jenny Light. I'd never seen a Jenny Light, Genesee. I had never seen one, so I picked it. I was like, oh, I get to try it. Well, I get it home and I do the review, and everybody's telling me, hey, that's the old can. They've got a different can now. I was like, I don't never see it around here. I had no idea there was a new can. I was just tickled to get it, But I did find a new can of Jenny Light, and I'm going to be re-reviewing it I've still got a can of that old Jenny Light in my fridge. I'll probably do a taste challenge.
Yeah.
See the difference.
Well, you know what? Old beer is good for if you're training to become a beer judge. Because what you can do, like if you pour them side by side, you'll be able to actually taste the staleness. Because like old beer, it tends to develop like it varies by person. Some people get it as like it's like oxidation, like the beer. It's just like the rust of beer, just like how most foods, if they sit in the fridge long enough, they're gonna go bad, or if they sit on the shelf long enough.
Yeah.
Beer isn't like, you're not gonna get like botulism or something, or like bacteria, because of the pH of beer. Like bacteria and viruses can't live in beer, so it's not like old yogurt or old milk. It just, the worst that's gonna happen is just gonna taste bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like if you get that old one and the new one side by side, like you'll actually be able to taste the oxidation. And like to me, it's always kind of like lemon lollipop. Like I don't know, like when you're a kid and you go to the bank and they have like those lollipops,
the dum-dums. Yeah.
Dum-dums.
Yeah.
Like the yellow ones are like this lemon kind of flavor. To me, that's what old beer always tastes like. Some people get it as cardboard, some people get it as sherry, or or just paper. But yeah, that might be a good experiment you could do as its own episode. Pour an old one and the fresh one side by side, and you'll pick that up.
I've had a couple of beers here not too long ago. Did them on different days. I found out while I was doing the review that they were out of date. But during the review, when the flavor of the head, both of them had a kind of a soapiness to them, and both of them spewed when I opened them, which I thought was interesting. And I thought maybe that's because they were out of date. I don't know. One of them was like 8 months, and the other one was like over a year out of date. And they both spewed when I opened them, and they both kind of had a soapiness to the flavor of the head.
Do you remember which beers they were?
One of them was, let's see, one of them was oh shoot. I think it was a Monday Night Brewing was one of them, and it was the Contemporary Pilsner. And I had gotten it, I think, at the World Market, and it was out of date by about a year. The other one, what was the other one? I can't remember right off the top of my head what the other one was.
It's probably it's a bad sign, because actually I had a from Marble Brewing out of, I think, New Mexico. I had they called it a Mexican style lager, and it was all sour. And like lager is not supposed to be sour, so that's an indication of infection at the bottling on the bottling line, or well, canning line, I guess I should say. You know, a lot of breweries, like especially if they're fairly new, they just sanitation is like the #1 most important thing. It's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, anybody can brew a beer. Like it takes like a real genius to be able to keep everything sanitized.
Right.
You know,
Right. Keep that flavor protected.
yeah, yeah, because there's bacteria and wild yeast everywhere. Yeah, have you ever tried home brewing?
You know what? I did that. Man, it's been probably, goodness, it's been 30 years ago. I did like 3 batches, I think. And you know, I bought the 5-gallon bucket and the aerator and all that kind of stuff. Bought all this stuff, and I made about 3 batches, and none of it was, evidently my sanitary skills were not very honed at that time either. So they were drinkable, but they weren't that pleasant. Put it that way.
Yeah, you should give it another try. It's, I mean,
Especially
if you,
when I retire, I'm going to do that. I'll be able to cut me out a place where I can actually have some room to do that.
Yeah, that was when I moved from New York to Florida, and I was homebrewing down here, and like almost all my batches were getting infected, even though I thought I did really good sanitation practices, but I guess like there's just more stuff floating in the air here. Although sometimes wild yeast can be a good thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever had a Brett beer. They call it funky beer, you know. Like there's a lot of Belgian beers that have it.
Really?
I don't know if you ever had a Flanders Red or Lambic or Goose or one of those, you know.
I've had what is it? Is it what's the name of them? They're the Lambics. I can't remember the name of the brewery, but they had that, they had a peach and a raspberry.
Oh, the Lindemans.
Lindemans, that's it. Yeah. And I enjoyed those. So I thought they were good. They were real low in alcohol content.
Yeah.
But they had a good flavor to them, all the ones I tried.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if those have Brett in them or not. Actually, the Brett beers usually are really expensive. I don't know. Have you ever ordered beer online?
I have.
Which website or app did you use?
I used, it was Woods Wholesale Wine and Spirits out of Michigan is the one I used. And man, I spent, I ordered 2 or 3 times. I spent over $1,000 with them, having them ship beer down here.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, that's bad. I know that's bad, but that's the only place I could find some of these beers. But I went back not too long ago, and they don't sell they don't sell it anymore. I don't guess. I can't get beer from them anymore. And
Yeah,
you know, I've tried some different places to get beer online, and a lot of them won't ship to Tennessee for whatever reason. And that's
it must be your state law.
Yeah,
you gotta contact your state representative, see if they can change that. Yeah, because I think like Sam Adams Utopia, like that's like a 28% ABV beer.
Oh yeah,
like they can't sell it.
Dream to try, but that gum, it's expensive.
It makes no sense though, because you can still buy liquor, and like liquor is 80 proof. Right. That's 40% ABV. Yeah, and you're in Tennessee, so I mean, you have Jack Daniels there.
Yep.
And like
I'm about 20 minutes away from the Jack Daniels distillery.
Oh wow. And have you ever taken a tour there?
I've lived here 30 something years, and I have never been. I have never been to the Jack Daniels distillery. I am not a hard liquor drinker. Hard liquor just doesn't really interest me at all. I've drank it before, and I don't know. First impressions, I may look like a grizzly, but I'm a teddy bear, man. I'm just a fun-loving kind of guy. I want to love and appreciate everybody. And when I drink liquor, I'm an asshole. and that's not me. So I just kind of stay away from the hard liquor.
Yeah, I've been trying to get into like especially bourbon, although I do love good scotch, and I mean like any whiskey. Whiskey basically starts out as beer, although they use like a lot more corn and other like adjuncts than beer does.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, like all like bourbon or whiskey. It's just basically like this, like Bud Light that's been distilled and then aged in barrels for a long time. And it's like amazing how just that barrel aging process that completely changes the flavor. Like, Jack Daniels or Jim Beam or even Pappy Van Winkle tastes nothing like Bud Light, even though
Right.
it's like very, very similar ingredients at the core.
And I've got a fifth of Jack Daniels sitting on my chest of drawers here that's probably 3 years old. It's unopened. And I've got a fifth of Old Charter that I've had like 3, Old Charter number 8. Yeah. I've had about 3 shots out of it. And it's been sitting there about 3 years.
Yeah, I started a show this year called Whiskey Wednesday. It was meant to be a weekly show, but it's kind of turned into like a monthly show. I just don't always have time. Like I'll get like these little sampler there you go. Get like these little 50 ml bottles.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like that would have to commit to like a $30 bottle. Like this
Right.
is, I think it's like $3, maybe $4. This is
Yeah,
Crown
really
Royal.
cool.
It's very easy to come by. And like I'll do like head to head of like similar styles, like a bourbon versus a bourbon, or like that one's a Canadian whiskey, and I have another Canadian there somewhere. There's a good book. I definitely recommend this if you're. It's called Tasting Whiskey by Lou Bryson. This is like a good whiskey 101. It's not like an advanced course, but it just tells you like how it's made and like how it differs from like what's the difference between bourbon and Scotch and Japanese whiskey and Canadian whiskey and Irish whiskey.
That might be interesting because I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, if you have time to read, it's funny. I have like all these books here, but it's like I hardly ever have time to just sit down and read. I feel like if I'm sitting down reading, like I'm wasting time. Like I could be doing something more productive.
I hear you. I'm married to my high school sweetheart.
Oh yeah,
and we have 5 children, and we're empty nesters out now. They're all out of the house, but I also have 10 grandchildren.
Wow.
So and all of them but 2 are pretty local. So we get to see grandkids a whole lot, and I don't have a whole lot of time either, man. Working 12-hour days, and I get a couple of days off when I'm spending with. I just had my 10th grandchild. Let's see, 4 days ago. Little boy. My time is eat up with youngins.
Anyway, I just wanted to show your channel again. So I had the video sorted by most popular, and it looks like your most popular video is a Heineken mini keg.
That mini keg, that was awesome.
12,000 views. Wow.
And I thought that was a pretty good deal. I picked it up at Publix in Murfreesboro. I give $20 for it, man. And I love Heineken anyway. I thought it was a pretty good deal. And I thought when I tapped that thing, I was going to drink the whole thing. But it actually lasted a good 5 days before I finished it without any, flavor deterrents or anything. It still tasted good.
Yeah, you got that at Publix? Wow. I don't think I've ever. There's Publix everywhere around here. I used to work at Publix for the headquarters in Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
When I first moved here. And I don't think I've ever seen the mini kegs at Publix, maybe in the liquor stores, not like at the actual supermarkets.
Yeah, that's why I was tickled to death because I'd never seen one till I walked in there and found it. And I went there with my sister. We were having a thing for Mom down there in Murfreesboro. And I said, man, I sure would like to have that, but there ain't no price on it. And my sister just said, well, we'll find out how much it is. We took it up to, and I bought it.
Yeah, Heineken gets a bad rap, but if you actually, especially if you're drinking out of a can like this, where it's not skunky, it's not in the green bottles, it's actually pretty good for what it is,
Oh, I love it. I love Heineken. And, I've heard a lot of people talk about the skunkiness in green bottle beers. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a sophisticated palate, but a lot of the green bottle beers, to me, have a similar aroma and a similar flavor. And that may be the skunkiness that you're talking about. To me, I like it. Now, I don't know that I've ever had one that, was actually skunky, actually smelt skunky or tasted bad. But I found that a lot of the green bottle beers, I've got a bunch of them right behind me here.
Yeah, I saw.
A lot of those there have a similar, not all of them, but some of them have a similar, like the Grolsch, the St. Pauli Girl, the Heineken, Peronis, Stella Artois. Those have a similar aroma to me and a similar flavor. Not exactly the same, but I kind of attribute that to the green bottle.
Yeah, it's because the green bottle doesn't fully block out UV light.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's this chemical interaction that happens when the sunlight hits the hop oils and it creates the skunky smell and skunky taste. That's why like most beers now are in brown bottles. So it's like anything that comes in a clear or a green bottle tends to be skunky, although they do have like genetically modified hops that are like skunk proof. But actually, I feel like bottles in general seem to be going away. Like when I walk into Total Wine or ABC or like even just like the liquor store, the beer museum down the street, like 90% of the stock now is in cans, which is nice because like the cans don't let any light in and they're better like keeping the.
And that's what I've always heard is you'll get a fresher, better tasting beer out of a can than you will bottled, strictly for the fact that it's totally protected from any kind of sunlight.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting, they talk about that in green bottle beers, but I don't know whether like the clear bottle beers. I've never had that in a clear bottle beer. Never had that aroma or the flavor of the skunkiness in a clear bottle beer. Say like the Michelob Ultralight Cactus, whatever it is, Cactus Agave, whatever. It's in a clear bottle. There's another one. Well, Miller beer, and it comes in
Miller High Life.
Yeah, Miller High Life comes in a clear bottle, and there's some other ones. I've never noticed that skunkiness in those.
Well, I think Miller uses
because it sells so fast. I don't know.
No, I think Miller uses. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Miller uses the genetically modified hops that don't get skunky.
Okay,
so that's probably why. Although, if you ever had, and I don't think they make it anymore. When I first started doing this channel, my first ever beer review was Newcastle Brown Ale. And it used to come in a clear bottle. It's kind of like a stubby bottle. And it would, even though it's a brown beer, it would still be like a little bit skunky. So like it has like that kind of Heineken kind of quality to it. And I used to love when I was in the Navy. I remember like we went, I think it was like in New Jersey or something. And I remember just like being at this bar like all day, just drinking Newcastle after Newcastle. And I would have like one like this size and like sip on it for like an hour and then start another one, and not instead of just throwing it back one after the other, I probably had like, I don't know, I feel like I had like 10 over the course of like 6 hours, and like I wasn't like hammered or anything,
Right.
But then Newcastle got bought out, and they actually make it in America now. Lagunitas actually has the rights for the American market. In fact, I reviewed it about a year ago. And it was okay. It wasn't great or anything.
The Lagunitas, what do they brew now? What is it?
Newcastle Brown Ale.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that. I don't around here anyway. Now I can access some of Lagunitas stuff, and I really enjoy their beers. Man, they've got some really good beers.
Yeah, they make good IPAs.
Oh yeah. I really enjoy the Lagunitas.
This is the one. This is the American version from Lagunitas now. I reviewed it, just about a year ago. Okay. And this is the first ever episode of my show from October 11th, 2008.
Wow.
That was when I lived in New York. I've reviewed it a few times since then. But did you watch any other Didn't you go to like a BeerTubers meetup? Was that you? I know there was a bunch of BeerTubers that got together in Niagara Falls.
No, it wasn't me.
Okay. There's like a dozen of them there. So I was like, I feel like I'm the only one that didn't go. Have you met any other?
The job keeps me tied down pretty good.
How's that Yuengling Premium?
I love it, man. It's of course, it's a little lower in alcohol content. To me, it's a lot like a Coors Banquet, but a little milder than a Coors Banquet. Where a Coors is a 5%, this is a 4.6. But it's just the price point and the flavor of the beer just is what attracted me to it. It's a good beer. It's a good, easy drinking beer. Like today, we got college football on all day long.
Right.
I can sit here and drink my Yuengling Premium and not get, hammered while I'm enjoying the ball game,
Session beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had the regular Yuengling. See, like before you were talking about, like, you got like a 20 pack or a case.
Yeah.
At a supermarket for like $20 or whatever.
Right.
Like I could never commit to that many beers. Like I buy basically, I pretty much just buy one bottle at a time of anything, and you pay more that way. Like the closest it comes, like I got this 4-pack of Boddingtons. I think it was like $10, which is it's like $2.50 a can. It's not bad.
No, that's not bad.
And I knew I was going to use it for some other like to review it, and then I'm gonna blend this with Inger Oktoberfest for Boddingtoberfest. And my girlfriend and I, we did this show every once in a while called Will It Blend, where we take like a nitro beer and like something else, and it's because like the nitro beer will float on top, like because we did like Old Speckled Hen and cider, so we called like Old Cider Hen or whatever. So far, like all the blends that we've done have actually been really good. Like the first one we ever did was Guinness and Monster, because like it was like an internet meme called the Gonster, and it seemed like a joke. So I was like, all right, well, I gotta try this. So my girlfriend and I did that a few months ago, and actually it's one of our most popular videos. Actually, I can bring that up here. Somebody was telling me that like Guinness and orange juice is like a well-known blend, like in the hood or whatever.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd be kind of scared to try that.
Here it is. We tried the Gonster. Oh, it's up to about 4,000 views.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that just like regular energy Monster, not the alcohol Monster?
Yeah, it's the Monster Super Dry. It's like green. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, see how it's like bright green? It kind of looks like Mountain Dew. I've been doing this project where I'm going through all my old videos and I'm turning them into shorts. And what I do is like I update the thumbnail. See, like these ones you can tell are like ones that I've remade, or at least updated the actual listing on YouTube, because like I changed the thumbnail. Like they all have that same font now.
Yeah.
And like something like this, I don't know why, but 𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 is my most viewed video of all time.
Oh, wow.
That was in my backyard when I lived in New York. Yeah,
Oh,
just like you, I like doing beer reviews outside, but I wish I had like the wireless mics back then. Do you have like wireless mics when you go outside, or you just do it on your?
I don't. I do my ones outside. I've got a little. I got a little Sony cam. That's my camera, the old Sony cam, man. And that's all I use, and I got no external mics or anything.
Yeah, if it's not too noisy or not too windy.
Well, see, that's the thing. A lot of times the wind will affect it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how. I guess there's a way to do it, to take an external mic and hook it up where it would sync with my Sony cam. I guess I don't really know. I've never even tried it, but I got an external mic for my old laptop because my mic was messing up. And I paid $30 for this mic, and I hooked it up and everything. And I'll be dang, it didn't last 2 weeks, and then the computer wouldn't recognize it anymore. I don't know. So I just use that with its natural mic, and then like today, this is my new laptop, and then we're just using the computer mic today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get these cheap like Bluetooth mics that are wireless, because I shoot, like if we go out on the porch, I just use my phone as my camera, and like you just plug it right into the bottom here, and then it's nice because like the audio quality is better than this mic here. I've had this mic since like 2016.
I've heard that they have a good quality mic that will do that. I've seen it a couple of times on different platforms.
Yeah, have you noticed, like, ever since you started doing YouTube, like all of a sudden you learn more about like movie making than like you have to like. There's all the stuff you never think of, like the
Yes.
lights, like
Oh man,
the sound,
my
like
light,
you're
my lighting situation is it needs work. But yeah, I make the videos. I spend maybe an hour making 4 videos, and then editing takes me
Mhm.
about 3 times that long. Once I
Yeah.
do the thumbnails and clip it here and clip it there and cut out a bunch of cuss words and different.
I know, like I'm like in such like a routine now that like it's just like I can plug it in and like I'm like even like as I'm filming it, like I'm already editing it in my head. Like, why did I say that? Cut that out, you know. I try to get like if it's just me by myself, I try to get the videos down to about 6 minutes. If it's me and Christina, we can go like 10 maybe, or like if I'm doing a Skype, nobody calls it Skype anymore. If I'm doing a StreamYard review with somebody, like we can go like 12, even like 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Because like there's a little bit of a lag when you're doing it, not like how we're doing it remote, like we're not next to each other in person, you know.
Yeah. And some of
Um,
mine run a little long. I get long winded sometimes talking about different stuff. Instead of talking about beer, I get sidetracked sometimes. And by the time I'm making my 3rd video, depending on the ABV of the beers, I'm kind of buzzing at the same time. So I tend to, kind of go off on a tangent sometimes.
yeah, I'm like that too. And then it's fun at the time, but then I'm like, nobody's gonna watch all that, so I just cut it out.
Nobody's gonna watch that crap. Shut up,
Yeah,
dude. Drink the beer.
yeah. What's your take on the sudden popularity of like the non-alcoholic beers? Have you
They can
tried
have,
any of them?
they can have them. What's the point? To me, what's the point? I'm not going to drink a non-alcoholic beer. I mean,
I will
why?
say I've tried a few, and like the ones that I've tried have been pretty good. They don't taste like old duels from 1989 or
I
whatever.
remember. I had the Bush NA. I've had the old duels way back when. They had those.
Mhm.
Um, and I went through a phase where I'd quit drinking altogether. And I was like, man, I really want a beer. And I would drink the Bush NA or the old duels. And I'm like, why even bother? They don't taste that damn good. And, the whole point of drinking beer is for the flavor and the effect for me.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really care anything about drinking a beer if I'm not going to have any kind of effect off of it. That
yeah,
don't mean I'm gonna drink a 6-pack and I'm not necessarily into that. Once you do that, you stop having fun. But I want to be able to feel the effect of it and to be enjoy. Chad, I'm a homebody. I'm basically, I stay here at the house most of the time. If I get out, it's something my wife wants to do. I'm not
right.
really sociable that much. However, get a couple of beers in me, I loosen up a little bit, start talking to folks and have a lot better time. Just a couple of beers, 3 beers, kind of loosen my tongue just a little bit. And much more than that in a short period of time, then I'm not able to function and actually have much fun. I enjoy the effect of beer in moderation. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've never been like yeah, like the thing about getting drunk is like there's a price to pay. Like you're gonna be hungover, you're gonna be like dehydrated, you're gonna be like hurting unless like you're a professional alcoholic, you know.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so I mean like to me it's just like kind of at the end of the night, just to do the beer review and then like watch TV or something like that, you know. The only time like ever like where it's not like where alcohol's not an issue is like if I'm at a beer festival and like there's like 30 or 50 different tables,
Oh,
you know?
wow.
And it's like I'm not driving, we got a hotel room, you know? Like I'm just there to just try everything. And like that's kind of like when it's worth it to cling to the grass so you don't get thrown off the surface of the earth, you know? You've been like that drunk.
Oh man, that's been years since I've been like that. I'll tell you what. I found out in short order that we used to call them big dogs and little dogs. Little
Mhm.
dogs can't stay out all night, get drunk, go to work next day. they sit on the porch. So I always consider myself a little dog because I've been out and I've gone to work the next day, but I wish I hadn't because I just didn't feel like doing anything. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
So I kind of know where my limit is. You know, if I've got to work the next day, I'm not going to drink, 7, 8, 9 beers. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, me too.
Pay the price.
Yeah. What's kind of following like so like how like seltzers are big these days, especially like White Claw and Truly and all those.
Yeah.
Have you tried any of them? Do you
I
like
have.
them?
I actually reviewed White Claw a couple of years ago. I think I did. I bought a mixed 4-pack or mixed 6-pack or something of the White Claw and reviewed them a couple of years ago. And I've tried I think the Bud Light had some seltzers, I think. Is that seltzer? Yeah. It was Bud Light Platinum. Bud Light Platinum had the seltzers. And a couple of others. And they're okay. They're not really my thing. Some of them are a little kind of fruity and stuff like that. They're not beer. And I just love beer.
Yeah.
I don't mind reviewing different things from time to time. I like trying different things, but I've never had anything that just grabs me like just a good old beer.
Yeah. What is what's like the beer scene like in Tennessee? Like what's some of the big breweries there?
We've got a bunch, and every Thursday I try to do a beer from Tennessee. I do a Tennessee Thursday, and we've got let's see, we've got right here in Nashville. I know we've got 4 or 5 that I review. One of them being a Bearded Iris. Dadgummit, I can't think of them right off the top of my head. There's several of them right there in Nashville. Then we also have some in Murfreesboro. We've got some in Tullahoma, which is on the other side of Shelbyville. We have several. And in East Tennessee, there's a bunch in East Tennessee as well. We've got a bunch of breweries, man. I need to make a list of them and make a list of the ones I've tried because there's several of them. And I hadn't drank a bad one from them yet, I don't think. I did a bunch of, and of course, they're not going to be available to everybody. I have trouble getting a hold of some of them out of Nashville. I have trouble getting them, here. Being 30 minutes away from Nashville, I have trouble getting some of them. But I enjoy trying them and just shouting them out on my channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, isn't there a big brewery in is it Nashville or Memphis? Because like I know 6 Point, a lot of their beers are made out of, I think it's Memphis. You know what I'm talking about? Some like giant brewery. It's probably like a contract brewery where like they just make other people's beers there.
I don't know. I know that there's the 𝒉𝒂𝒅'𝒛 Brewery is one that I have access to here in Middle Tennessee. That's done in Memphis. So 𝒉𝒂𝒅'𝒛. I don't know. I know there's other things that kind of like what you said, maybe a contract brewery or something like that. Because it seems like it was oh shoot, what was it? It was a Voodoo Ranger hard tea, I think. And it was brewed in several different places, and Memphis, Tennessee was one of them, where it says, brewed under blah blah blah, and it has all these different states and places they're coming from.
I have a Voodoo Ranger right here. Let's see where it was made.
Now that one probably won't be. They're out of where are they out of?
Oh, this says Fort Collins, Colorado, and Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
No canning date on here. How far is Asheville from you?
Asheville is probably a good 8 hours.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. It took us about 6 hours to get to Gatlinburg. So yeah, probably Asheville's probably a good 8 to 9 probably. I would love to go to Asheville and just visit some of the breweries there. They have some awesome breweries in Asheville, man.
Yeah, it's funny. You're probably about the same distance from Asheville as we are.
Yeah, Wicked Weed is one that's done in Asheville.
I just reviewed their Pernicious like a week or two ago.
Yeah. What was King Henry VIII? The hop is a wicked and pernicious weed.
Let's see, from Sanford, Florida to Asheville. Yeah, it's about 8 hours. Yeah, so if I wanted to drive to Asheville, that's about as far as it would be. You know what's funny is like a lot of people think, oh, you can't be that far because Asheville's right there, and you're over here. Here, I'll do it. Whoops. Still there?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, yeah, if you wanted to drive to Asheville, it's about 5 hours more or less.
Yeah. Well,
Probably got to cut through the mountains
that
there,
may
right?
be true if I was driving, but my wife does all the driving because I hate driving. So it'd probably take us about 6 to 8. I absolutely hate driving. I'm 6'5", long legged, and my butt's bony. And I hate driving. I just hate it. I can't hardly stand it.
I bet you have a truck or an SUV, right?
I do have a 2007 Chevy Silverado King cab.
Mm-hmm.
So I got plenty of leg room.
I know. You know, I used to drive a Honda Civic, and I had to upgrade or downgrade, I guess you could say, to a minivan because I was sitting because I drive all day for a living for my work because, I do
Wow.
DoorDash, Instacart, Amazon Flex, stuff like that, and it's like sitting in a go-kart, and I'm only 5'10 and a half, 5'11", but if you drive for a living and you're driving 100, 200 miles a day, if you don't have enough leg room, you start to get cramps. So I was getting back issues, leg issues.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, I get home and barely walk. So I actually got a used minivan about 2 months ago. It's a total game changer because I'm basically it's kind of like sitting in this chair that I'm sitting in now. I can actually sit up straight and have my legs, my knees are at a 90-degree angle to the floor.
Yeah, not all cramped up there. Yeah, I can relate.
What I was gonna say before is a lot of people, everybody thinks of, and I guess it's true. Most people think of Tennessee as an East Coast state, even though you're technically landlocked. But
yeah,
in sports, they always put you guys in the West, the Memphis Grizzlies are in the Western Conference.
Huh.
How is Memphis West? You're not even you're still in the East Coast time zone, right? Or does
it divides. We divide central and eastern divides somewhere on the way to Chattanooga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are you Eastern or Central?
We're Central. We're Central
okay.
here in Darbuckle.
Yeah, so you're an hour behind.
Of course, Chattanooga. By the time you hit Mont Eagle Mountain, the time zones changed in there. Yeah.
Yeah, even Florida, the Panhandle is the central time zone. It's weird. You would think a state. I could see Texas being different time zones, but you would think most states would be in the same time zone. But
yeah, I've got a daughter that was down in Tampa.
Oh, that's not too far from me.
Yeah,
she lives there.
Yeah, she lives there. Her family lives down there in Tampa, and I hadn't seen her in a couple of years. I need to make a trek down there. Last time I went down there, I was able to get in touch with Big B Beer Reviews, Brian Breeden, and he invited us over, and we did some beer reviews and had supper with his family. It was just a wonderful experience, man. I don't know if you know Brian or not.
But I'll have him on. He'll be my next guest. I'll ask him.
He's awesome, man. We had a great time together. Did some reviews, and his family was just awesome. They invited us in. It was just a wonderful time.
Yeah, he has that big bar, right?
Yeah, the Dam Bar. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's this is the channel you're talking about, right?
Yeah. That's my buddy Brian.
Yeah, he has this huge bar. A lot of people that I've had on this podcast, they have a shed in their backyard.
I saw that, man. I wish I could do something like that. My finances won't let me right now. Whew.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, we're going kind of long, so I guess we can wrap it up here. I was wondering, are you only on YouTube, or are you on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok?
I do TikTok. I'm on YouTube and TikTok's the only ones I do.
Is your TikTok the same Fridays are for you?
I believe so. I think it
Let me
is.
see. Whoops.
I'm gonna tell you what y'all gonna.
I found you.
Yeah, Uncle.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Uncle Bub. How did you
Uncle
get?
Bub.
How'd you get the nickname Uncle Bub?
Well, actually, my sister gave it to me when I was little. She started calling me Bub. She's 2 years younger than me. She started calling me Bub, 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 and you know, my mom and dad just kind of adopted it, and I've always been Bub in my family, and I just put Uncle Bub on there because I'm just a redneck, and that sounds like a pretty good redneck name.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for doing the review and thanks for doing this podcast.
Chad,
And,
I enjoyed it immensely, man. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, if you ever want to
Never
collab, let me know.
So that was great.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching to everybody out there at home, and we'll see you next week. So I'm out of beer. I don't have anything to cheers you with. Get my water bottle.